in Psalm 42, verse 1 to 2, says, "As the deer longs for streams of water, so I long for you, O God. I thirst for God, the living God. When can I go and stand before him?" Have you ever worked outside in the summer? Did some yard work? Maybe in the winter you've been shoveling snow. Maybe you're out for sports, doing something, and you take a break and you say, "Oh, you're panting. I'm so tired. I'm thirsty." And you run in the house or wherever and you get your bottle of water. Actually, I have one with me, just in case I get thirsty here. You grab your bottle of water, your glass of water, and you just chug the whole thing down because you're so thirsty. You're dehydrated. And you're so thirsty and dehydrated that you're kind of feeling like, I drank the whole thing, and I'm still thirsty. So then you start wondering, well, is it juice? Maybe Gatorade? What should I try? Some people might turn to a Coca-Cola or a beer or something. I don't think you're old enough. No? Anyway. But they're seeking, the thirst has not been quite quenched because they're dehydrated. We can get dehydrated from Christ, from walking away. He doesn't leave us. He gives us living water. When we know him and accept him, he'll always be there. But we may get thirsty because we forget. And we try, when we have forgotten, to fill the void in our hearts with God and to fill the void in our hearts with Jesus. Suddenly, we look to our spouse, perhaps, to be our everything and fill every hole and every void. No spouse can possibly do that for someone. It's impossible. Suddenly, we might look to our friends and hope that that fills the void. Or we look to our sports. Or we look to our clubs that we're participating in. Or we look to our busyness through volunteering. Or we look to our jobs. You know, if I just got that raise and I could get that car, and if I had that car, I would be so happy. The car, after you drive it off the lot, is just a used car. It's all used stuff really quickly, and you're no longer happy. There is not enough money in the whole world, not enough money in the whole world to fill the void we have in our hearts. And there's no one on earth that can fill that void. So we thirst. But we're thirsting for Christ. We're thirsting for the living water. Excuse me while I turn the page and keep on task here. Now Jesus had told the Samaritan woman that those that drink his living water will never be thirsty again. And that's true, because he will never leave us, but we can leave him. And so we may get thirsty again if we don't stay tied to him, if we don't stay close to him. Let's think about this lesson, the Old Testament lesson from Exodus. The Israelites, here they saw many miracles of God, and now they're out, they've escaped from Egypt, escaped from slavery, and they are in the desert. And in this chapter, chapter 17, we learn about them being thirsty. Moses talked to God. He went straight to God and said, they're thirsty, they're complaining. God provided water. Let's look at chapter 17 or 16. We will not open it up today, but in chapter 16, they were hungry out in the desert. We don't like the food. Did you leave us here to starve to death? Moses went to God, talked to God, and God provided. He provided manna from heaven. Now there was a funny little rule about that manna, because you couldn't just scoop up as much as you wanted for days and days and days. You were only allowed to scoop up enough for that day, for your family, one day at a time, other than the day before the Sabbath. In their case, that would have been Friday, as we know it. And so you could only scoop up enough for one day. Give us this day our daily bread. Think about that. God wanted them to understand that he is there to provide the daily bread. Jesus is the bread of life. Think about the parallel. We need Jesus as the bread of life every day. We can't play camel. We can't sit here and come on Saturday night or Sunday morning and scoop up all we can from the beautiful hymns, the songs we're singing, and the prayers we're doing. We can't just scoop it up and save it till the next week or the next month. As my cousin, Pastor Zeke, would say, we can't be priesters. That's Christmas and Easter attendees. We can't save up and make it last from one holiday to the next. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us Jesus every day. Every day. So we need him every day. Let me tell you a couple little stories about myself. 5 years ago, I was walking very, very closely with God. I felt a sense of joy that is indescribable. I would read my Bible, I went to Bible studies, I prayed continually. You got to watch out when you're driving though. If you close your eyes while praying, that just doesn't work. You don't want to do that, you're going to get in trouble. But I would pray first thing in the morning, not just morning prayers, not just evening prayers before bed, not just dinner time prayers. I stayed so close, and the sense of joy and the sense of closeness was amazing. In February of 2017, it was a black ice day. For all of you, you know what black ice means. It looks like the sidewalk is just wet, but it's ice. It's slippery, it's cold. And I stepped out of our house, and we have 4 concrete steps leading down to the concrete padding that was on the driveway at that time. And I took the first step, and I just flew off the steps. Never hit another step. Luckily, I didn't hit the step with any of the steps with my head, but I fell on my back on the concrete, and I shook my head a lot. And it's known as, commonly known as a whiplash concussion. Well, without going into all the symptoms and all the things and all the healing and all that kind of stuff, the key here in this message today is simply that I couldn't think straight. I could not read for comprehension. I could read the individual words, but I couldn't connect them and understand the sentence. And say, there's a sentence in there somewhere, but I couldn't understand it. I also couldn't concentrate long enough to say a prayer. I could not say the Lord's Prayer, which we know by heart, and we've known since we were children. I couldn't say the Lord's Prayer. It would take me 5, 6 times of starting over, hoping it would click, like, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. And I'd say it faster in my head to hopefully catch on and remember something. My concentration level was so low due to that I say, well, you can stick close to Jesus by listening to maybe some books or something, since you can't read them. Listen on audible tapes or something. I couldn't concentrate long. I could listen, I could hear what they were saying, I could understand what they were saying, and then it was gone. Talk about fleeting thoughts. It was just gone. But I would try to listen. In that time frame, it took a long time to recover. And during that time frame, I began to distance myself from Jesus. I knew I needed him. I knew I wanted him. And somehow I couldn't feel that he was there because I wasn't getting him daily. I wasn't with him as closely as I was before. I was in some other world. It took a long time, and in fact, without going into any details, I still have a few little remnants of all of that. And so a few weeks ago, actually a month or so ago, Wayne and I were in church, and we're praying, and it also had the moment of silence in the prayer, and I'm standing there, and I'm praying, because I'm still not where I want to be in my walk with Christ today. But now I can read. Now I can concentrate better. Now I can, much of the healing has been there. There's just a few little tidbits, and it causes me to worry. And I wonder, like, from the doctors, what should I be doing, or what can I do, or do I need more answers? Do I have more questions? Of course I have more questions. I'm worried. I'm worried. I don't care about the coronavirus. I was worried about something else at the moment. And so I'm praying during the moment of silence. And Wayne is standing over here. And I'm praying. And as I'm praying, I feel this shoving on my arm. And I'm thinking, Wayne, the jokester, of course, just leave me alone. I'm really concentrating and trying to draw close to God. So I moved over a couple steps because we have room in the pew. I moved over and I'm still praying. My eyes are still closed and I'm praying and I'm praying. And he shoves on my arm again. I'm like, oh, good grief, Wayne. And I open my eyes to look at him and give him the look. You've all seen the look from somebody, right? Some of us use it more than others. So I go to give him the look. He's not there. He's over here. There was no one there. And then I got a sense, a word from Jesus. I'm standing right beside you. He was standing right beside her. He's been there all along. That's how I healed over this time. He's my healer. He's my guide. He's my everything. And he's been with me all along. I just had a problem recognizing it for a few years. I'm standing right beside you. Now, remember Moses? When the complaints came, he prayed. I'd been praying. And healing had come. It's not all here. But I don't care. I'm not worried anymore. Because he's standing right beside me. He gives me strength each day. He's my living water. He's my bread of life. And I can reach out to him every single day. And I try to do that all the time. You remember Jesus? And he tells us about worry. It's in Matthew chapter 6. I'm going to just read pieces of that. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Jesus talks in there about the birds and the grasses, and doesn't God just take care of all of that, he says? And then he asks, can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? Then he ultimately concludes saying, do not worry, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. We don't need to worry about the coronavirus. Seek first God. Moses sought him first and received the water. Moses sought him first and received the manna from heaven, the daily bread. Jesus taught us in the prayer. We start out, your kingdom come, in the Lord's Prayer. Your will be done. We seek him first. Seek him first. And he'll be standing right beside you.